Hey everybody, it's Wisp, and I wanted to talk today about the reviews talking about the social setting of Fire Emblem Engage. A lot of people are saying that it is not as social of a Fire Emblem game, and okay, first off, I do want to say the reviews have a lot of information, some of which will be helpful for people who don't know if they want the game or not. Some of the things they talk about are amazing map design. Some people say not as great map design. Some people say the tactics are a little bit too deathball focused. Some people say the story didn't hit for them. Some people have liked the laid back tone of the story. So, depending on where you land on these things, the reviews are definitely worth reading. I'm not at all trying to say that they don't have good information. I'm just a little surprised about one aspect that I've seen a couple places talk about, but I've also seen a couple other places say they don't agree with. So, reviewers are kind of conflicting on this. But that place, for me, is people saying Fire Emblem Engage is not as social. It takes away from some of the social experiences, and I don't know what they mean, right? I mean, we're running a resort in this game, and that's not a bad thing. That's really cool. It's just that this isn't a Fire Emblem game that goes quietly. Hey, Skunky. It doesn't go quietly. We're actively a god who runs a resort in our spare time when we're not saving the world. So he's the star of the show, and he knows it, I guess. But I'm gonna let him sniff it around because I'm readjusting some stuff in the room anyway, so I might as well let him have fun. But yeah, there is a lot more that has been in Fire Emblem before, and I know some aspects of Three Houses are being removed, right? Like the gardening is gone. Gardening also gave some permanent stat buffing items, and they might have not wanted to do that in this game. I don't know. That's kind of just a theory on why. But yeah, it's a really interesting thing to me. Like we can still cook with our friends. We still have support logs. The one thing I'm guessing is maybe paired endings are gone. But even if they are, I don't think they're like 100% erased, right? And the only reason I think that is because, aside from the fact that they've been a staple, I think Alir's going to get them. So that's really what I'm saying there. But if they are gone, if there's not a single paired ending aside from Alir's, I still think it's going to be a little bit open. Here's what I mean by that. What I want to say is I think that paired endings will work in such a way that everyone will have some characters that you're like, maybe they're married, maybe they could be married, and that still happens. This is something older Fire Emblem kind of did, even if on accident. There would be, oh, you gotta move the table, buddy. There would be the occasional scene where, or the occasional ending, like Mist and Boyd, who they are legitimately just a paired ending. They have an actual, like, secret relationship or marriage. But there would also be a lot of characters that, one that was brought to my attention is Edward and Mia. They're not characters that have any story implications for why they would be married. There's no reason to expect they are or anything like that. They don't even have supports. But this is just an example. Edward doesn't want to be a noble or like a famous knight or anything. He opens a bakery. Mia just wants to be a mercenary. She's protecting a village. So who's to say that Mia's village isn't the same as Edward's? And maybe Mia is fighting and protecting the people while Edward is begging for that same group of people. They could technically be married. Again, there's no implication they are. There's no reason to think they are. But they could be married without it hurting their stories. Now you take that into Engage. Maybe Ivy and Diamond, for example, will have endings that it doesn't mention their partner, but you can read it and think like, wait a second, they had really good supports. They could be doing this and still be married to each other. It's possible, right? So I think that's something that's going to be fun that Fire Emblem hasn't had in a while. We can look through supports and decide like, okay, so this ship is dead. This ship doesn't work. They can't get married, and these endings still work. Other pairings might be like, wait a second, this person could be married to these people. And that's not going to get into canon or anything because Fire Emblem's been trying to do away with canon pairings for a little while now. So they weren't going to do that anyway. But I do think that they'll be there. And if that's not what people mean, that's really just the only thing I can think of is maybe people are saying that it's gone because the parent endings are gone. I don't get what else they could mean. I mean, we can literally go to a resort that we manage and hang out with a guy as he tells fortunes. Or we can goes to that same resort and cook with friends. People have outfits. They have their normal outfit, their gym outfit. They have the swimming outfits, casual clothing that looks relatively modern. So in all those ways, it seems far more social than other games before it. So I think it might be one of those things that is kind of a trade-off. We lose certain things Three Houses did and things Three Houses did well, and just trade it out. Which I think if people are kind of newer Fire Emblem fans, they might not be used to. But Fire Emblem is kind of comfortable taking out good features. They don't like necessarily strictly improve the game every time. They make each game have its own identity. So every now and then they will take out a good thing they added and keep it relative to like that region, or maybe throw it in a few games later. But not every game has everything. The only real staples are they added avatar characters, and that has not changed. That hasn't gone away, and I doubt that it will really. Now after Corrin, they all started becoming the main character. Corrin, Byleth, Shez, and even Alir now. Shez at least is mostly their own character, but technically Avatar by name. But anyway, Fire Emblem is usually comfortable moving features around. Avatars is kind of the exception for whatever reason. Even route splits. I mean, Fire Emblem Engage is looking like it's one full solid route, and they've done route splits in Fire Emblem Fates and Fire Emblem Three Houses, but not every game needs every feature. So I'm not too concerned about that social aspect thing. There are a lot of other points that they bring up and a lot of other things that they talk about in reviews that again are worth reading and but worth watching. But that's not one that I think people are going to be totally in agreement on when the games come out. Now, as for if the talking matters, I don't know. I mean, I'm probably not going to go to Somnio every chapter in my first playthrough. I want my first playthrough to feel like combat, feel like the war. And when the pacing is slow, maybe I'll go and hang out. When the pacing is fast, then I want to be part of the action. And my second playthrough, I'm going to go because I'm sure every chapter, characters have kind of this ambient dialogue that fixes, or talks about their character in new ways, talks about them a little bit deeper, and gives you maybe a deeper appreciation for them. But for my first playthrough, I just think that the things like the monastery are pacing too much, that I don't want to do the same with Somnio. And that comes from a personal place. I'm sure it's going to be fine doing it, especially after I've done my first playthrough anyway for me. What are you doing, bud? He's in here while I film rather frequently. I don't know what this is all about. But yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on that. And I'm excited to run a resort, kind of. I definitely think Somniel is going to be a pretty fun feature, a fun mechanic, way to have a base. Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's a fun thing. It's just not. I'm just confused about that, and maybe it's not going to be for everyone. Maybe some people aren't going to like the resort-esque style of it, or maybe it's not as social as Three Houses was. But say it's stripped down to the basics. This is how some people worded it. That's where I'm a little bit more confused. But anyway, that's just my thoughts on Somnio. I'm excited about the mini games. I'm excited about getting to know people in those ways. And sometimes I'm going to ignore it completely because sometimes for me, even that sounds like it's going to get in the way of pacing too much. I mean, there's like the gym and the cooking, and like there's a lot going on that to me strips me out of just the core gameplay. So for other people to say that it's stripped of the social aspect, is like, there's no way. You can even walk around the maps after winning the war, after winning a battle, and talk to the people, talk to your team about the battle. So how is it less social? Like, okay, maybe less, or at least differently, but stripped down doesn't feel right. That feels a little bit harsh to say. That feels too strong for a game that is still more social than every Fire Emblem game except maybe Three Houses. We'll know when we actually play it. But I don't know. Maybe they just mean smaller support logs, or maybe there's no paired endings or stuff like that. Maybe that's really where it's coming from. I don't know. Oh, now he's on the merch shelf. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you, and until next time.